welcome to the 297th Harmony Plus webinar. Actually, I should say the US webinar because we've had many more than that considering all of them. So thank you so much for attending Good Grades Aren't Enough, the importance of extracurricular and leadership activities. So today we have Harmony Plus Program Manager, Jenna K, and I'm your host, Calabi. So a little bit about Harmony Plus. So many of you guys I know have been to many webinars, but this is just a little bit about us in case we have some new people here. So Harmony Plus is an international learning ecosystem that is based in Silicon Valley, as you can see on the map right here. And we seek to upgrade education. So how do we do that? We do that through a hybrid learning model that leverages both in-person and online resources. And we do that by equipping students with the skills they need to adapt and excel in a highly competitive professional climate. Right there, yeah. Okay, so what exactly is this hybrid learning approach? Well, we have education as well as services, online and offline resources, synchronous and asynchronous, theory and practice. And we do those hybrid areas with the guidance from top teachers, endorsement from top universities, and that helps us build a competitive advantage and enjoy continuous improvement. Okay, so that's how we upgrade education. Here's some universities where Harmony Plus students have been admitted. So as you can see, lots of Ivy League schools, also Ivy League Plus schools, as well as top public schools. Now let me introduce today's speaker, Jenna K. So here at Harmony Plus, she's a program manager and education consultant. Her education background is that she studied educational psychology at UCLA. She also presented on the Asian academic experience at Stanford. She taught 4th to 12th grade for 7 years in various capacities. She also provided academic counseling for 4 years. And last but certainly not least, she is an extracurricular. So without further ado, Jenna, you can take it away from here.
Hi, everyone. Just a second, I will be sharing my screen now. Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Kala. Oh, oops, sorry about that. So today's agenda is number 1, why are good grades not enough? And number 2, what do college admissions look for? And number 3, how can leadership help college applications? And lastly, how and where do I find volunteer opportunities? So why are good grades not enough? A lot of parents think that good grades, like perfect GPA and SAT scores, can guarantee acceptance to a good college, but that is not true. And that is because highly ranked universities, especially the Ivy League schools, want students who stand out. And standing out with a 4.0 GPA is not enough because everyone who applies to Ivy League already has really great scores. Everyone already has nearly perfect or above 4.0 GPA and perfect SAT scores. So how do we stand out? This is just some data to show how Harvard College looks at the university students. So they have 40,000 plus total applicants and 2,000 are admitted. 8,000 students had perfect GPAs, 3,400 had perfect SAT math scores, and 2,700 had perfect SAT verbal scores. So as you can see, people who apply for Ivy League schools are already highly qualified with perfect GPAs and perfect SAT scores. So to give a scenario, I prepared student A and B. These are hypothetical students, but I thought that they were perfect examples of who gets to get accepted to a Ivy League and who would not. So student A, this person, they both want to go to a medical school as their goal. So student A, their major the applied major is biology, and student A applied with a GPA of 4.3, which means they've taken a lot of AP and honors classes. 10 classes for AP and honors. SAT scores nearly perfect, 1580 out of 1600. And then for extracurriculars, they've done a little bit of everything, right? They've done Spanish club for 1 year, school orchestra for 2 years, code and co for 2 years, and research with a professor, and business for 3 weeks. So as you can see, this student kind of tried everything that they hear are good. You know, someone says, oh, join the Spanish club. Okay, that sounds good. Oh, someone says, playing an instrument helps for college. They do orchestra for 2 years. And then someone says, oh, coding is really important to do. So they just kind of go with the flow, go with whatever everyone tells them to do. Compared to student B, who also is applying for biology major, has a 4.0 GPA, has taken a lot less AP and honors classes compared to student A, has a lower SAT score than student A, a 1490 out of 1600, but their extracurriculars is very focused on their career goals. So for example, student B has founded his own medical club and is a president for that club and has been active for 4 years. So this shows commitment. And then was also a volunteer lead for Children's Hospital for 5 years and student ambassador for 4 years for American Cancer Society, which is also relevant to the medical school that they would be applying for, and also mentored middle school students. So all of these extracurricular activities show that this student is committed to pursuing medicine and also is a good person, right? Mentors middle school students. So all these extracurricular activities demonstrate qualities that a medical school would look for. While this student, extracurriculars is very kind of unfocused. So if you compare student A and B, who is more likely to become a successful doctor? Student A or student B? So these are questions that universities also consider when accepting students. Who is going to be a successful student? So factors that admission officers consider is, will this student change major or graduate in 4 years? So a lot of universities have to report this data. What percentage of their students get to graduate in 4 years or 5 years. And in order to keep that percentage high, they don't want a student who would keep on changing their majors and not graduate within that time. So by having a very focused extracurricular activity list, like for example, student B, who has clearly demonstrated a focused interest and passion for the medical field, the universities can tell that they will graduate in 4, maximum 5 years. And number 2, will the student be successful in their field? So student A clearly shows that he is a successful student, but will this student be successful in their field? It's very hard to know based on this extracurricular list that seems kind of distracted and unfocused. And number 3 is another question they ask when choosing a student. How will the student benefit this university and other students? So the reason why they ask this is because, especially for a small school where they don't get to admit a lot of students, each student has to play a very important role in the school. So how will this student benefit this university? Maybe this student will start a very important project for the school that makes the school rank even go higher. And how would they benefit other students also? Is this student just going to stay in their dorm room and just study all day, or are they going to start a student leadership or be very initiative and help other students who have been admitted? So the bottom line is, they do not want a student who just studies all day inside a classroom. And in order to do that, you have to show that they have an active life outside of classroom through extracurricular activities. So this is just Stanford Admissions as an example. So 2 important aspects that Stanford looks for, of course, intellectual vitality, but also personal attributes. So Stanford has an admission rate of 4.3, and it's actually lower than Harvard of 4.6. So this is a good example to look at, because you can show your intellectual capacity through your GPA and your SAT scores, but you can't really show that show the personal attributes through those scores. How do you show your leadership and ability to confront complex issues with good judgment, things like that, just by having a good grade, right? So that's where extracurriculars become very important. Okay, so the key points are, don't do what everyone else is doing. So for example, you hear that everyone's in Spanish club, so you just join the Spanish club, and then you do orchestra because they say, oh, joining an instrument is good for college. Try to look for what they're good at, right? What you're good at. Same thing for AP classes as well. You might hear that, oh, someone else is doing this AP biology class, I better do that just because it sounds good, right? That is, yeah, not the solution. And also, as a parent, you should spend time to learn about your child's interests and talents and skills and career and college goals so that you can give advice that really applies to your child instead of a very vague advice like take as many AP classes as you can. And number three, focus on relevancy, length, titles, not quantity of activities. So being in 5, 6 clubs is not better than being the president of 2 clubs, for example. And are the clubs relevant to the majors that you're applying with? If you're applying as a business major and your volunteer experiences are only in, for example, like volunteering at the animal shelter, that may not be as relevant. And also length is very important in showing that you have a committed passion for the subject. So if you're always volunteering for like maybe 2-3 months in every club that you're in, that also does not look good. Okay, so now we're going to go through the college applications, the activities section, and the essay section, and how volunteer experiences can lead to extracurricular activity and leadership positions. Okay, so college applications and volunteering. So we're going to go through all 3 types of applications. So number 1, UC application, 2, common application and coalition application. So common application and coalition application are mostly used for private universities. So we will be going through that. All right, so these are the 8 questions that you can choose from for UC applications. So as you can see, number 1, describe an example of your leadership experience. And obviously, it is possible for you to have had a leadership experience within a classroom, maybe for a homework assignment or project, but that won't really stand out because, for example, like writing an essay, doing a biology project, how much would that stand out from everyone else? Everyone is doing those projects, right? So a volunteer experience or something unique would make you stand out more. Number 2, every person has a creative side. So again, it is possible that you did something really creative as a homework assignment, but again, it's really hard to stand out with something that you've done inside a classroom. Number 3, how have you demonstrated talent over time? Same thing. Just saying that you were in school orchestra is not enough. Number 4, describe how you have taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity. So again, same thing, just saying that, oh, you went to school and it was really hard for you to get that A, but you did by studying really hard. How many stories are we gonna hear that, right, as an admission officer? So you really want to think from the admission officer's perspective. Number 5, describe the most significant challenge you have faced and steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. Again, if the biggest challenge you've ever faced was moving from a B+ to A-, that is really not a memorable story. Just imagine how many stories, something like that, that the admission officers will read. And number 6, think about an academic subject that inspires you. Again, outside of the classroom, how did you try to further the interest? So just getting that 4.0 at school is definitely not enough to answer this question. Number 7, what have you done to make your school or your community a better place? Yeah, so this is directly asking about community service. So a perfect SAT score, perfect GPA does not reflect, you can't answer this question with that. And number 8, beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate? Yeah, so this is directly asking what makes you stand out. And again, perfect GPA, perfect SAT scores. Just remember that everyone who applies to good colleges are probably just as smart as you. So you have to think of something else. Okay, now for common application and coalition application, the essay questions asks for something meaningful, right? That they believe their application would be incomplete without. So again, sharing about what happened within classroom, maybe studying for math, your math test, writing an essay for English test, it's really hard to write a meaningful story about that. So you have to find it outside of classroom, which is basically extracurricular activity. And coalition application also asks, when have you made a meaningful contribution to others? So this is even more specifically directed towards community service experience than common application, just asking, what have you done that's meaningful? This is meaningful contribution to others. So clearly asking, have you done any community service or volunteer anything, right, during your high school years? Okay, so how important is volunteering? So this is not all the universities, obviously, this is just an example. On a scale from 1 to 4, 4 being most important, these are the schools that rated it as very important, and the list goes on. But as you can see, there's a lot of UCs on this list, and that's just because I know, like, we're in California, so a lot of students apply for UCs, but UC Berkeley has rated volunteering as number 3. And you see some of the Ivy League schools like Johns Hopkins also rated it at number 3 as well. So why start now? So a lot of students don't really prioritize volunteer and community service. So they start thinking about it maybe in 11th grade or 12th grade when they're about to apply for schools like colleges. But if you do that, then you're gonna probably get your first leadership role in maybe 12th grade or even after high school. So if you are a 9th grade student watching this right now, just start as soon as possible. And if you're in middle school, even better, right? So that if you have experience in middle school, you can apply for officer positions in 9th grade, and you can just keep climbing up the leadership position. And volunteering early just gives you a head start on extracurriculars and leadership resume. So volunteering opportunities, how do you find them and where? So the resources, number 1, obviously finding them online is a very easy option, but some of the potential issues could be that there's too many options. So if you just have your child go online and just say, oh, just look for something, right? It's too many, there's too much. And then number 2 is that it's really hard to find a legitimate active organization, because you have to contact each of them to ask, you know, if there's an active activity or event going on right now, and it's possible they may not reply, or it's possible that they're not even legit. So it's just a difficult process to go through all of them. And then it's also difficult to find instructions sometimes, even if they have an ongoing activity. It's really hard who you should talk to about what in order to get started. And that kind of relates a little to no guidance. You don't really know who is a go-to person if you're volunteering online. And because of all these reasons, it's just easy to quit any time for the student without the guidance, without the instructions. It's just really easy to quit anytime. Number 2, joining school clubs. So this is another good idea, but some potential issues can be that it's really hard to find an advisor for a new club if you're interested in starting your own club. And that's because a lot of teachers already are advising for a club. So you have to just go through a list of teachers and ask each of them, are you available? And that could be a very long process. Second reason is that teachers tend to be very uninvolved because their main job is teaching. Their main job is not being a club advisor. So it's possible that even if they agree that they will be your advisor, they're just kind of sitting next to you. They're not really going to guide you through this whole process. And number 3, it's harder to get a leadership position, obviously, because when you apply for an officer position, there's going to be other students who have been in the club longer than you and maybe are older than you, who are going to be competing for the same officer position. Another thing is that members must attend the same school. So if majority of your friends who are interested in this club all go to different schools, then they can't join this club. They all must go to the same school. Meeting time and dates can be rigid. So if you want to join a club and they only meet, say, like Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30, you already have other things going on. The club is not going to change the date because it doesn't work for you. That's their meeting time, and it's very rigid. Lastly, starting new projects can be very time consuming. So if you try to have a event on campus, you need to go through the administrators, the principal, the teachers, and it can take many months for you to even have the event approved. Number 3, another option, of course, volunteering at a very large scale organization like hospital or the county library or city centers. So some potential issues that can come with that is, number 1, you must commit officially before getting trained. So that usually means they might ask for 6 months required commitment before they even start training you, and that's because the training also takes a very long time for them. So they don't want you to just volunteer once and leave. And meeting time and dates can be rigid for this one as well, just because they have a very set schedule already. So if that doesn't work for you, they're not going to change anything just to match your schedule. It's almost never online. Obviously, if you're volunteering at a hospital, you have to be there, right? So it can be a very long commute for your parents, just going back and forth. They do not give volunteer hours for the commute. So yeah, that can be another issue. Must contact the organizations directly. So as a student, if you're 15 and you're emailing these hospitals, there's a very low likelihood that they will respond to you, just because you're young, and yeah, that's just one of the issues that could happen. So they might be very unresponsive. It might take a very long time for you to hear back from them, no matter how passionate you are about starting to volunteer here. And lastly, it's hard to start new projects, obviously, because these hospitals and library, they know what they want you to do. So as a volunteer, they're not asking you what you want to do. They're telling you what you should do based on their need. So even if you're very creative, it might be very hard to suggest recommendations and new projects once you're in. Okay, so I wanted to introduce our EATIC program and Harmony Plus, addressing some of these issues that were addressed here, some of the concerns. So EATIC stands for Extracurricular Activity, Training, and Internship Club. And this is a supplementary solution to all these issues that I've mentioned. So extracurricular activities at Harmony Plus, we have 2 different types of activities you can do. So number 1 is a passion project. So if you and some of the other students in the EATIC program have shared interests or skills or career goals, you can start your own project with them. So students receive one-on-one guidance from the EATIC program manager, which is me, and everything you do here can be included in your portfolio. So right now we have a climate change research project where students who are very passionate about climate change have formed this project together, and we're working on creating content, like that includes videos and blog posts, and having our own website to post all of them. So things like that. Volunteer opportunities. So I send out new volunteer opportunities every month, and they are handpicked by me. So I already contact the organization and make sure they are an active organization and they're doing really important things for the community. So I include how to apply and who to contact, all that information when I send these opportunities out to the students. And I try to choose them. I try to choose opportunities that would really prepare students for their future careers or college majors. So sometimes I would pick ones that are related to art, if they're interested in art colleges, and sometimes volunteering at the legal office, like the law office, things like that. Very wide-ranging interests. And I try to make sure that they're kind of unique outside of classroom activities. So for example, one of the activities we have is translating on TED Talk. So it's called TED Talk Translate, where the students can translate TED Talk videos in a language that they're fluent in. And obviously this is great because TED Talk is a very well-known organization. And another organization that you can volunteer at is the 7 Cups, which is where you get to be a counselor for many mental health related issues, and you get to provide counseling to teenagers, other teenagers around the world. And this is all online. So it's very flexible to fit the students' schedules. Okay, so as I mentioned before, one of the passion projects right now is the climate change project. And that's because the students realized that they're very passionate about the environment and climate change. So our members are all very different in their age, but they make it work because of their shared interest. So their main project is to spread awareness about the environmental issues and conduct research. And our goal is to create a website and post research findings and videos about important issues in climate change. So why are majority of our activities all done virtually? And this is on purpose. So the reason why I try to make them all virtual is because the Gen Z, this generation of teenagers, are already on their phones a lot. So they're at least on their phones for 5+ hours a day. And if you include computer time, it's at least 9 hours a day. So since majority of the teenagers are already on their screens, doing a virtual activity online and volunteering is kind of a win-win. If you're already on your phone, might as well make it productive. And another fact is that majority of Gen Z, so 97% of teenagers reported that they use social media as their top source of absorbing information and shopping inspiration. So having your own website where you share about your passion, for example, like climate change, that's where other teenagers will be looking for their information anyway. They're not looking for newspapers to read about climate change. They're going to be reading about it on websites. So starting a project online and creating and managing a website is going to become even a more essential skill in the future. It's already important now, but it's going to be even more important in the future. So it's very important that students learn how to do this, as well as editing and sharing content like videos, articles, and pictures. That's going to be essential. Okay, so EATIC program, as I mentioned, what are the benefits? The students will be notified monthly with well-researched hand-selected organizations and volunteer opportunities. And these opportunities are selected to prepare students for future careers. And I communicate with them directly, the students and the organizations directly before and during and end of volunteering experiences. And they also receive monthly workshops with guest speakers from organizations or relevant college preparatory information. So this is kind of an example of an email that I would send out every month. So as you can see, the title is EATIC Opportunities, Mental Health Listener, Immigration Law Volunteer, Student Ambassador, and Student Alumni Group Lead. So for example, like Mental Health Listener right here, as you can see, it says if you're interested in helping people, psychology, mental health, social work, counseling, then become a volunteer mental health listener. So this link, if you click on it, it would show how to apply and what you need in order to apply, and how many hours you would need to commit and who you should talk to if you have any questions on this website, etc. And the second one, the immigration law volunteer, is for students who are interested in law, public policy, immigration, politics, and Asian American movement. Again, if you click on that, it would show the details of applying for this position as well as what the position entails. This last one, the student leadership, marketing, communications, student ambassador and student alumni group lead, is internal opportunity for our students at Harmony Plus so that they can gain marketing and leadership experience with us. So as you can see, they're very wide ranging. So number one, more dealing with students who would be interested in psychology. And second one for students who are interested in law, pursuing law. And third one for students who are more interested in communications and marketing. Okay, this is another internal opportunity. So for students who are interested in education, teaching, mentoring, we have a book club, Harmony Plus Book Club, that meets every Friday. So high school students who are interested in working with kids because they want to become a teacher or want to major in education, we provide this opportunity for them to gain a certificate of achievement with us, and also weekly volunteer hours and leadership and mentorship experience specifically in education. And obviously, they're all remote. So this is a fully remote opportunity, as well as other volunteer opportunities that I've mentioned before. So key points, finding volunteer opportunities online at school and at community centers, hospitals, and library are all important, but this is not always possible and has potential concerns. So if you'd like, you can join our EATIC program as a supplementary option, so that you no longer have difficulty finding your volunteer opportunities or leadership opportunities on your own. Okay, so for the EATIC, these are some of the reasons to join. It enhances your college applications through adding to your activity list and your resume and essays. You have something to talk about. And secondly, you get to participate in exclusive extracurricular activities and internship opportunities. And we provide monthly workshops that you can attend to help create a resume, write a cover letter, and etc. And you get to collaborate on projects with other passionate, high-achieving students with similar interests as you through the passion projects. And you can gain leadership positions in the club. And you get to receive the President's Volunteer Service Awards if you have enough hours to show. Okay, so how Harmony Plus can help you is by supporting your GPA and academic performance and helping you with SAT, ACT, and AP exams and the extracurricular activities and research leadership, which is all included in EATIC, and college essays, recommendation, and interview prep through future planning. So these are some of the online programs that we will launch in winter 2021, just to share a little bit more about our programs. The first one is Data Strategy Winter Program. So this one is taught by a data science professor at UC Berkeley. And this would be covering how business applications of data science works. And you'll be learning about predictive analytics. And you would be really applying to real world case studies. So as you can see here, this is the instructor information. And if you'd like, you can scan this QR code to find out more about the instructor's experiences. And if you are interested, I can also share the syllabus as well for those of you who are interested in seeing the exact course details. So this is a QR code for those of you who need a few minutes to scan. And this is a machine learning program. So this one starts on December 20th, so that's very soon. And it is until January 6th, so that's 3 weeks. And there's 3 courses per week, so it's 9 sessions total. And machine learning covers using Python and machine learning techniques to solve real-life business problems, working on projects similar to theory, which is a very hot topic right now in technology. And also, it's going to be a mixed, like a hybrid lecture where it combines hands-on labs with group research projects. And the professor for this is also a UC Berkeley professor with 25 or more years of experience in developing and researching cutting-edge information and management systems. And he is an advisor at several high-tech companies. So similarly, if you guys are interested in finding out more about this, please scan this QR code to find out more. And if you let me know in the chat, we can send you the syllabus as well for the detailed course information. Another course that we will have is a presentation skills winter program. So this presentation skills course will be taught by, he does not teach at universities, but taught by someone who has gone on Shark Tank, which is a very famous TV show where you go on if you have a business idea, and these very famous investors can choose to invest in you or not. So you will get to learn from someone who was funded on Shark Tank. And the instructor's name is Ethan Schur. And you can also find out more by scanning this QR code. And this is a UX design winter program. So if you are interested in a technology, but more combined with art, and really looking into how to make an aesthetic user experience, then this would be perfect for you. This is 5-session course with instructor named Donji. And you can find out more by scanning this QR code here. All right, so regarding future planning services, we will have Kala explain more since she's leading the program. So Kala, you can start. Yeah.
Sure. And actually, before I get into this, I will let our tech lead, York, share a video about machine learning, and then I'll talk about future planning. So this video is pretty interesting. So York, take it away.
Welcome to Machine Learning. My name is Jimmy Shanahan, and I've been working in the field of machine learning and data science for over 25 years. I straddle both academia and industry, meaning that by day I work in Silicon Valley at a startup. Some of these problems you will bring yourself to the classroom, and we'll all get to work on them together. You will learn by doing. We'll also, of course, focus on some of the theory, but we will supplement the learning with a lot of programmatic exercises. We'll be working with Jupyter notebooks. We'll be working in the cloud. We'll be working with GPUs and CPUs and TPUs. And in addition, we'll be solving amazing problems with large-scale data sets.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And now I guess maybe this will be a slightly more boring Now we'll talk about future planning. So Jenna, if you could share your screen again, then I can go through that.
Yes. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you can let me know if you want me to go on to the next slide.
Okay, sure, will do. So a little bit about our future planning services. We have quite a few different types, but basically, we think about moonshots in education here. So really helping students reach for the stars, shoot towards the moon. We do that with a combination of US coaches like myself, other educational consultants like Jenna. We also have bilingual consultants to help facilitate between parents and students for Chinese speaking families. We also have peer mentors. We provide a wide variety of different services, as I will go into detail on the next slide. So here's some of the different types for students who are applying to private schools. So we have private middle school and high school application services, even elementary school for a few young students I've been working with. Then we have an academic and extracurricular enhancement program that's typically for students in grades 8 through 11. We also have a variety of college application and essay services. So for students who are in grade 12 right now applying for undergrad freshmen, also we can help with transfer applications and grad school. So MBA, master's, PhD, you name it. And then we also have one-on-one essay editing and interview training. So let me say a few more details on the next slide. So for students who are in 9th to 11th grade, that's like a really core service that we provide. So at this point, we help students build a personalized and competitive application profile. So how exactly do we do that? So we normally have 10 meetings a year, and we go over major and career assessment, academic evaluation. We help students select their courses each year in high school. We provide test prep advice, extracurricular activity research and planning. We help students with their summer program and activity research and planning as well. We help students prepare their resumes, research the colleges that they might be interested in, plan college tours, and other personalized services. So then for students who are in their application year, so the main thing that we do, the logic here, is to help package and present students in the best light possible to colleges. So how exactly do we do that? So we have different packages for how many schools we have students apply to, and meetings are kind of as necessary. So we don't really limit it. Actually, if students need to meet 2 or 3 times a week right before the application deadline, we will do that. Then we help with application profile strategy like major selection, college list development. Then we help with the whole essay editing process like brainstorming, as well as giving writing instruction. We have early application strategy and application interview preparation. We help with planning college tours, as well as deferral and waitlist strategies. We help with final college selection, like after students get all those offer letters, and other pre-college services, and then other personalized services as needed. Then we have some one-on-one essay editing and interview training and video supplement support packages. So we can help with the whole essay editing process, from brainstorming to creating outlines to editing. We can do proctored writing trainings. That's something that's kind of common for students who are applying to private K-12 schools. We have interview training sessions, so we can help with preparing for those, as well as doing mock interviews. And then for students who need to create videos for either like private K-12 applications or college applications, which is becoming more and more common. So we can help students create their script as well as edit those videos. And then here is a sample plan. So we're pretty organized and detailed with when we need to complete tasks, when we'll be meeting with students, then we can have the desired outcome. So that's just a quick sample of the kind of plan we provide. Okay, so that is the main part of today's webinar. So But let's keep talking about volunteering and extracurricular activities. So please join this WeChat group chat that is dedicated just for today's webinar so that we can continue the conversation with any questions that you guys have, or if you have any thoughts or comments, we'd love to hear them. And want to learn more about our other webinars, please join our Silicon Valley Secret WeChat group so you can learn about other webinars and just what's happening at Harmony Plus. So definitely encourage you guys to join that as well. Okay, and now to the Q&A part. So Jenna, are you ready?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I had to unmute.
Okay, perfect. So we have a few questions that people who registered wrote down, but then anyone in the audience who has questions, feel free to write your questions in the Q&A section or chat, whatever works. Okay, so our first question here. Can musical instrument exams help with college admissions? So a lot of students will, pass like level 10 piano, for instance. Is that helpful?
So again, kind of related to what I was talking about, if your child is very interested in pursuing that professionally and in college, that would be a relevant experience. But for example, if the student is going to apply for like an engineering major, then that might not help as much as you would want it to be. So I would say if you have very limited time, obviously all these students are so busy, that might not be the best time to spend all that energy and time into, if that's not relevant to the major that they're interested in applying with.
Sure, that definitely makes sense. Okay, and then our next question. So if a kid has certain talents, but doesn't really know what extracurricular activities will help for college, how could you advise that student and guide him or her?
Yeah, so having a talent, I mean, that is great news, because that means that you can really narrow down the recommendations you can make to your child. So if they are very talented in sports or an instrument or maybe coding or anything like that, you do want to allow your child to really focus on their talents and their strengths. If a kid is really talented in art, for example, don't try to push them into this coding direction just because coding is like a hot subject right now. That's an emphasis that I often make with parents is if your child is already good at something, you should push them towards that direction instead of changing direction into like a trendy direction. Because then in the end, they will lose that talent over time and not even be that good at that forced new direction. So you kind of lose both. So definitely support your kid towards what they enjoy and are good at.
Sure, makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then our next question. So what is the recommended activity list for STEM and business? So I guess those are two pretty different areas. So maybe you could just give a few ideas for both STEM and business.
Yeah, for STEM, obviously some of the programs that I've introduced, the machine learning and data strategy are very useful. And I would say for business, the presentation skills will be very useful because it will be taught by someone who made a pitch on Shark Tank, which is, like I said, a very famous TV show where entrepreneurs can go on and pitch their idea to get funding from investors. So those are the programs that we have. The UX design course, I think, is useful whether they're interested in STEM or business, because it's about starting your own website and creating a user-friendly website that everyone can use. And obviously, whatever you do, you will have to learn how to create a website, especially in the future. So those are the internal opportunities or programs that you can do. Externally, I know that a lot of universities have pre-college programs. So, for example, if you are really interested in engineering, there's a lot of schools that have high school pre-college programs in the summer where they can apply and take like the pre-college courses with them. So we can definitely help you apply for these programs through future planning. Our consultants can also help you with that. So yeah, let us know if you need any further advice. I really recommend you join the WeChat group so that we can continue the conversation. I also see a question in the Q&A. Are all winter programs online? And yes, they are. They are online.
Okay, great. So yeah, once again, if you have some questions, feel free to write in the chat or in the Q&A section. So I guess while people are still thinking of their questions, Jenna, maybe I'll ask you. So what extracurricular activity do you think was the biggest help when you were applying to UCLA and really helped you get in?
Yeah, so I applied as a psychology major, focusing on education. So I would say that something like 7 cups that I mentioned, I made sure that all the extracurriculars that I did was very focused towards like helping people, mental health, social work, that kind of industry. So even the school clubs that I joined were very much about psychology and mental health awareness. And every summer, the activities that I did was also related to that. So I don't think I did anything that was vague. Like, for example, joining like the Key Club or Leo Club. I know that they're very big at every university. I mean, every high schools, because it's just like a very general volunteering, like community service club that you can join for anyone, open to anyone. But I think when you join something vague like that, universities can tell that you're just doing it because everyone else is doing it. So if you have a very specific interest, I really recommend joining clubs or activities that are specific to your major. And I also took AP psychology in high school just because I knew that I would want to major in psychology. So while all of my other like friends and all the other students, AP physics was really popular just because they knew that that's like the most difficult AP science course. But I knew that I'm not going to go into physics, so I chose AP psychology, and I have no regrets because taking a subject that I know I'm not interested in, that would have only lowered my GPA and would not have helped at all in psychology. I don't need physics at all in psychology. So yeah, that would be what I did and the recommendation I make as well.
Sure, that is a very good point about classes as well. Okay, so now we have a few more questions from our audience members, which is wonderful. Keep them coming. So next one, how do we get hands-on lab experience with an online program?
So that one, for example, for machine learning, the lab experiences, again, I would have to talk to the instructor to answer this, but for sure, it would be hybrid. So maybe it would be half lectures, like online lectures, and then since he's a UC Berkeley instructor, maybe the lab experiences would be at Berkeley. Again, I can ask exactly how that would work to the instructor directly, and also send you the course syllabus if you're interested in that while I get the response from the instructor. Yeah, but that is a good question. The lab experience would not be online, but sometimes a lab experience is not just like working in an actual lab. It could mean like a project time. So working on a project can also be online. So yeah, that would be dependent on how the instructor defines lab experience. Yeah.
Sure, I think with a lot of these programs like machine learning, it's not so much lab experience, it's doing hands-on stuff, and hands-on is basically just doing stuff on your computer for a lot of these, right? So doing a lot of projects, I think.
Yeah, like it wouldn't really be working in a laboratory. I think you should more think of it as a project that they work on hands-on, not necessarily in a lab, but on their own. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, and then how many volunteer hours are needed to apply to UC colleges if there is a specific amount? What should students shoot for?
The recommended amount is 100 hours. Yeah, for most universities. Kala, do you know the specific amount that most universities prefer?
Yeah, I guess there isn't, this magic number that you absolutely have to have for
Yeah.
universities. 100 hours might be a good benchmark, but as we were discussing before, if you're just doing things to get volunteer hours and doing all sorts of, random projects, it's nice if it's something you enjoy and you care about a lot, but definitely focus on activities that are more related to your major. So then you can build upon them. And I think, Jenna, your example of what you did to get into UCLA for psychology was, very relevant and very good.
Yeah, so instead of shooting for the quantity of hours, try to do activities that they're really interested in and make sure that they're committed for at least 2 years, I would say, if that's the major they're applying with, for example. Because you want to show that you're committed to this major. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I see at this time we don't have any more questions and we're just about to 6 o'clock. So Jenna, if you could go to the last slide there, then we can encourage everyone to follow us on all different types of social media. So of course we should, then, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, you can contact us however you'd like, but we would love to see you guys in some of our programs, one or more of them. So let us know what you're interested in and get you guys signed up. So thank you so much for attending our webinar today. And Jenna, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. It was very insightful.
No problem.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.